take the pan exposure on a ProOne, very first thing you have to do is double click on the Remexis icon to launch it. Once Remexis launches up, very simply what you're going to do is you're going to need to type in the patient's name. In this regard, we're using Planmeka USA. I would hit enter, double click on the patient's name, you'll get the demographics window. At this point then you click on imaging on your left hand side here. Once imaging is clicked, you'll have pan exposure in the upper left hand corner. Go ahead and click on this to initialize your pan exposure. At this point, you can then escort the patient inside of the machine, position them, and then take the x-ray. After setting the patient up in Remexis, very simply you come over to the machine, select the appropriate patient size. In this regard, our patient today is a normal average adult. I would choose the third patient from the left. You also notice that the average normal jaw size has been selected also, and the appropriate KVs and MAs are 68 and 7 are the appropriate ones for him. The next thing I would do is very simply move down the machine so that the chin rest is lower than the patient's chin. And then would ask the patient to step inside the machine. At this point, I would raise the chin rest up so that it is slightly a little bit below the patient's chin. I'd ask them to step in, bite down on the bite stick. Make sure that they're standing a shoulder width apart. And grab onto the hand rests. Then you would press the temple support button to close the temple supports. After the temple supports have closed, the next thing you're going to want to do is that in case your lights do go off, you can hit the return button on the GUI. And what we're going to do is we're going to line up the Frankfurt light to the bottom of the orbit of the eye to the tragus of the ear. If you do not know where the bottom of the orbit of the eye, you can take one single finger and just touch very gently to make sure that they're where the bottom of the orbit of the eye is. And you'll line up the layer light there. At this point, you might need to adjust the up and down to get the right angulation so that the Frankfurt light is lined up appropriately. Once your Frankfurt light is lined up, then you're going to move on to your mid-sagittal. We want the light so that it's in the middle of their eyes. And if you need to, you can go ahead and just gently move their head left or right to adjust. Once the mid-sagittal light is lined up, then we're going to move on to your focal layer light, in which then you would ask the patient to smile. Go ahead and smile. And then what we're looking for is the layer light to be lined up between 10 and 11. And then what you need to do if it's not lined up, go ahead and press the millimeters left or right. Alright, go ahead and ask them to smile again. Go ahead and close. Once you've got your layer light lined up, go ahead and ask the patient to close their eyes. Take a deep breath and put the tongue to the roof of the mouth. And then start taking the exposure. Once the exposure has been taken, very simply what you would do is you click on down at the bottom. And then the image will be presented on the screen. At this point then you can zoom in, diagnose your panoramic exposure.